Stop over-explaining yourselves to people who are committed to not understanding you at all. At the end of the day, whether we like it or not, some people are out there in the world who don't like you and they will do everything in their power to simply find whatever reason they can to dislike you. Therefore, it's best to be able to distinguish when you should take a step back and stop over-explaining yourselves to people who simply don't want to get it. So yes, that's going to be the topic. But I just want to take a note about my lion's mane. So this is, I think, as close as we'll get to my natural hair that we will see. There is a combination of straight, curly and wavy going on. I am also bringing out the headbands. I have a very beautiful collection of headbands that I've collected over the years, and I just don't wear them enough, and I definitely don't take any pictures or any footage in them, so they're not getting the love that they deserve. And I just thought, you know what, I am going to do it this year. I'm just going to wear all my different headbands, bring them out, give them the TLC and love they deserve. But yes, without further more ado, is that the saying? Without further ado? Further more ado? I'm going to have to check what that saying is. Without further ado? I think that's the right one. Anyways, yeah, let's get into it. I feel like this angle feels more conversational. It feels like we're just chilling, having a chat, so I might change my mind later and just change the angle. But for now, I feel like it's quite cute. I've got my tea and we can talk. So I think the most important thing when it comes to this topic is to comprehend the fact that some people want you trapped in a cycle of justifying yourself. This could be anything from your mum, your dad, your siblings, your boss. This could be so transferable to literally anywhere in your life, which is why it's so important to be able to have that discernment about you to clock onto when someone is trying to keep you in that cycle. There could be different reasons why someone could be trying to get you into that cycle, but honestly, that's none of your business. Your business is protecting your peace and making sure that you're doing your best to not give any time of day to these types of cycles and just literally go, okay, if I'm being pulled into this, I'm going to literally give a very clear statement that speaks my truth without falling or succumbing into this type of cycle. Yeah. There is an amalgamation of reasons as to why someone may feel the need to over-explain. Naturally, the first part would be people-pleasing tendencies. Evaluate, do you find yourself unconsciously or even consciously looking and seeking to people-please? Another side of this over-explaining aspect could be the fear of being misunderstood, which in a lot of circumstances is something I completely comprehend. You don't want to have the wrong impression or the wrong reputation being spread about you, so you'd feel the need to over-explain. Nonetheless, in toxic dynamics, people who love these kind of holds against you, I think is a good way to word it. Someone who loves holding something over you, they love watching you be in this aspect of over-explaining yourself because it feels as if they have the power over you. Whereas when you don't feel like you need to explain yourself to them, it removes that power from them. So it's really important to realise that. Another reason that could be as to why you over-explain is the seeking of validation from people who will never give it to you. Maybe it's a case of in your childhood you didn't get the validation you needed from your caregivers or people around you. Maybe your siblings were given more attention than you were. Unfortunately, it's a big world. There are so many different reasons as to why you may find yourself over-explaining. And it's just important for you to sit there and analyse yourself as to why. I wish I could give everyone the whole list of reasons, but you know, hopefully these ideas allow a little bit of analysis in yourself to trigger the location of trigger the location. Does that make sense? Trigger an analysis to find the source. That sounds better. To find the source of where these tendencies may be coming from. Yeah. There is a truth about those who refuse to understand you. It could just be a case of a patterned miscommunication. Nonetheless, most of the time, if someone's actively seeking out to not comprehend your side of the story, not value you, not get your points, it's most likely a case of it suits their narrative to misunderstand you. Likewise, it could be a case of energy vampires. At the end of the day, I don't believe in this whole kind of blaming people just for the sake of it, but when there is clearly a pattern of behaviours where someone enjoys witnessing others' pain, enjoys watching others fall and fail, that gives off energy vampire vibes. And I've had people in my life before who have admitted to being energy vampires. They wouldn't necessarily say the word I'm an energy vampire, but they would turn around and say things like, oh, I really enjoy it when someone else fails. Or my ex, for example, he would go to his AA meetings, and there was one guy who was a little bit older than him, who was ahead of him in his journey of being alcohol free. And one day he comes into their AA meetings and says, oh my goodness guys, I relapsed. And my ex phones me afterwards being like, is it bad that I was really happy that he had failed? And to me that does scream energy vampire, because naturally, if you are secure in your energy, you don't want to see others fail, because the more people that are unhealthy and unhealed in this world... Whoa! Arthur! I'm currently breastfeeding Arthur. I'll go back to the video in a second, but I'm so ready to stop. I've done it for nearly 2 years now. I'm waiting until the 2-year mark to really conclude the journey of breastfeeding, but it's actually so exhausting. Not many people know that the amount of hours a mum puts into breastfeeding is not short of a full-time job, which is insane if you think about the amount of other tasks a mum faces on top of trying to spend quality time with her children, you know, cooking, cleaning, yeah, and then on top of that, working, because in today's economy it's very difficult for most mums not to work. So it's one of those things that it's like, but oh my goodness, it is exhausting, fully, very much exhausting, and I'm ready to stop. I've mentally checked out from breastfeeding. The point I was making before was that if there are more unhealed and unhappy people in the world, that's just going to keep translating and triggering other people to also be unhealed and unhappy. I mean, I've spoken to so many different therapists, and there are all different types of conversations online that happen where therapists do come together and admit that a lot of people who are in therapy are there because of people who should have been in therapy in the first place. Therefore, the logical conclusion any sane individual can make is that if someone is unhealed, the best thing they can do for the society and community around them is to go and heal, because they're less likely to transmute and project their pain and their trauma onto others, whether that's insecurities, fears of something. But naturally all of that can be healed. Therefore, a lot of cyclical toxicity can be ended purely because one individual went out to address the internal pain that they had. So for me, I think part of this energy vampirism is that people have not sought out to even acknowledge they have some pain they need help with. One guy I used to go to school with, he openly admitted to me that he thrived off watching people into arguments, be sad, be in their negative energy, and I really didn't get it. I did ask him, can you explain this to me, because I'm so confused? And he was just there like, he would love it when his family would argue, because he would sit there and realise that he's not alone in his pain. And to me, I tried to communicate to him, you realise maybe it's better that you address the pain that you're clearly hoarding within. Don't you think that maybe going to therapy would be so beneficial for you? And I think at the time there was definitely a stigma around males going to therapy, and I really tried to remove that for him, being like, you know, vulnerability is a superpower, and if you address that deeply ingrained pain, you'll stop looking and seeking for it outside of you. And I watched one time how there was an argument between two guys in our class, and he sat back, smiled, and I'd never seen him so happy before. He really did thrive and enjoy watching other people in their negative energy. And to me, I realised that that is a form of energy vampirism, because they thrive and they almost refill and feed themselves off watching people suffer. And that's so scary, because I wouldn't think that anyone that I would ever come across would be like that. And the rest of the time he was a very normal individual. He would care about charities, he would do work, he wouldn't go out of his way to hurt people consciously, but he did enjoy, if something organically happened before his eyes, like an argument, he would enjoy it. And to me that's really scary, because that highlights that he has a lot of unhealed energy, but he doesn't want to address it. He would rather just watch other people suffer to know that he's not alone in his suffering. And that is extremely toxic and dangerous, which is also another reason why someone may want to keep you in the cycle of over-explaining, because then they know they've got that power over you and they're transmuting their pain onto you by allowing you to feel stuck in a cycle of explaining yourself, which you should not allow. You should not allow yourself to be pushed down like that, nor should you allow yourself to be sucked into that black hole, because at the end of the day, hurt people do hurt people, and you don't want to allow yourself to get into the position where you then will actively hurt others as well. It's one of those things that unfortunately you will have to take a stand, but when you do that, you will protect your peace. And that leads me into my next point about how to stop over-explaining and reclaim your energy. At the end of the day, you just need to learn Oops, I got a phone call, but they can call me later. So you just need to learn boundaries, and unfortunately for all of us, if we were raised in a way that essentially removed our ability to feel secure in boundaries, that is going to be a challenge. However, boundaries are your friend. They create a protective barrier between your peace and someone taking over your peace. So it's really easy to say things like, I don't need you to agree with me, but I need you to respect it. And unfortunately, in certain power dynamics, that's not going to be easy in the beginning. Especially, I've noticed with family friends where they come from cultural backgrounds where the automatic authority is given to parents, grandparents, and they've essentially been enabled to get away with a lot of toxic behaviour because they're like, I'm the grandma, or I'm the grandfather, I'm the dad. And that does not mean they have the ability to be toxic and get away with it. Maybe they did play a part in giving you life. Maybe they did nurture and take care of you growing up. But they also chose to have children, and they also chose to make sure that they would be your provider. So that doesn't automatically give them leeway to disrespect you and push you down for the rest of your life. That's where healthy boundaries can come in. Unfortunately, again, this is not easy for every scenario, so you really are going to have to be discerning and figure out what's going to work in your situation. Likewise, does it benefit you to try and insert these very direct boundaries in the situation you have right now? Because obviously you need to analyse, do you have the independence to do that? Do you have the safety to do that? But if you get into a habit from day one with healthy boundaries, it stops people who have taken advantage of you to even ever take advantage of you. So, you know, with toxic relationships, if from day one you say, I don't accept that, and you walk away from people who are like that, you allow yourself to never tolerate or even be around people who do that, which is why it's so important to get into that habit. The next part is obviously realising when a conversation is pointless, someone doesn't want to get your point, and just walking away from it. With my ex, I would sit there and try and explain to him my pain so much, and I think a lot of girls go through this predominantly. Some guy friends I've noticed as well, but more cases the girls than guys, where you send paragraphs explaining how they behaved and how much it hurt you, where they reply with like really cold-hearted short replies, and they're like, okay, well, I didn't do that, or I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm just there like, you knew what you were doing when you did it. You just chose your personal pleasure over how it would impact everyone else in your life. And so that really does highlight the point that you need to be vigilant about who is acting in a way that is only self-serving to them, and when they are not there to listen to your point attentively. Because if someone wants to get your point and they value your opinion and they respect you, and they are not there just to listen to themselves and try and feel like they're superior in the conversation, they will take time to care about what you have to say. And if their actions hurt your feelings, they will take note of that. But there are plenty of people in the world that are just not in that mindset because of their unhealed energy, which is why it is so important that you do realise when it's a good time to leave a conversation, because it's not going to go anywhere. It could just be that in that moment their emotions are taking over them and they're allowing that to get the better of them. So, you know, if it is feeling intense, if you're feeling unheard, just walk away. Sometimes things need a cooling down period, and sometimes people need a cooling down period. Only you can look after yourself in the best way possible. You are in charge of yourself. So on top of watching how you behave with other people, you also need to watch how other people behave with you. And unfortunately, over-explaining is one of those things where it's an amalgamation of observing why you feel the need to over-explain, as well as what other people are hoping to achieve by keeping you in that cycle. It's a small thing, but it definitely allows food for thought. You do get into that flow of things where you feel the freedom to really protect your peace, as well as be a good individual, take care of other people, but also take care of yourself. It really makes the world blossom in such a beautiful way that allows for this freedom, this liberty that you wouldn't otherwise have known you could have, where you can have your boundaries in place, but then also live life and be that kind-hearted, giving individual that you know in your heart you are. The last thing that I'd really want to say is just that you need to realise your peace is valuable as well. I used to always put other people's peace above my own, and I think there is an element of maintaining that. You shouldn't just throw away your kindness because other people were unkind. That would leave the world in such a really horrible state. I think it's so lovely that you do have traits about you that allow you to care about other people. However, it's everything in moderation. If you are able to take care of yourself first, then you are able to take care of other people as well. And it's just about the balance of both worlds. You don't want to be imbalanced where you're overly selfish, but you also don't want to overgive to the point that you are detrimental to yourself. It needs to be a nice, healthy balance of both. And that's what I think is so beautiful about the journey of finding yourself and learning about the world around you, because you do start learning how to balance all these things. And when you do, everything is in harmony, and it's just so lovely to witness. Thank you for watching yet another video with me. I love all the feedback that I'm getting, all the DMs, all the comments. It's honestly so lovely to communicate with you guys, and let me know if you have any videos you would like me to cover. I'm on other social media platforms as well, so I hope to see you there, like Instagram, TikTok, so follow me there if you want to. And in the meantime, I hope you have such a lovely day. The sun is shining where I am. I don't know if it is where you are. Feel free to comment which weather you have in your location, but I'm very excited for the spring to come now. It's not long before it's actually warm outside. It's sunny, but it's still a bit chilly, but I'm so excited for when I can just walk out in dresses and really experience the summer heat.